Hello. Today in this video, we're going to talk a little bit about a problem that happens nationwide in why college students go hungry. Um, for the sake of this video, I'm going to be using numbers based off of Florida Gulf Coast University, the tuition cost, housing, stuff like that. Most college students who do go hungry have little to no money by the end of the month because they have other priorities or other bills that they feel need to be paid first before they have spend money on food. A couple of these priorities include tuition. Obviously, tuition throughout the years has increased and is steadily increasing as the years go on. Housing, whether it's on campus or off campus housing, students are paying anywhere from $500 to $700 a month just to, live. That includes utility. School essentials such as textbooks, supplies. Everyone obviously knows how expensive college textbooks are, and school supplies, whether you need paper, printer ink, pencils, pens, stuff along those lines. Transportation, whether they have a vehicle and they need to put gasoline in it, the upkeep for their vehicle, oil changes, stuff like that, or if they don't have a vehicle, maybe money for a bus pass or money for maybe if a friend takes them, they have gas money for their friend or something along those lines. And just other bills. Obviously, in this day and age, everybody has and pretty much needs a cell phone. If you need to get in contact with anybody, whether it's work related, school related, something along those lines. If you do have a car, you got to pay car insurance. Health insurance, obviously, is pretty important. So we're going to go ahead and take a look at a couple numbers. These numbers come from capex.com. The average tuition per year at FGCU is about $4,191. That's about averaging about between 12 and 15 credits per semester. This is just 2 semesters, so fall and spring. This isn't including summer or anything like that. On-campus room and board is over $8,000 a year. That's for 2 semesters, which, obviously if you went off campus, it could be a little bit cheaper, but some people have to take the on-campus route, whether it's they don't have a vehicle or they have a couple scholarships or something that only can go towards living on campus. Books and supplies per year, about $1,200. Most people spend $300 to $400 a semester on just books, and then you got to look at school supplies, everything like that. It's going to add up as the year goes on. And additional fees, there are certain classes and stuff like that that charge an additional fee. Just kind of ridiculous fees, but they can add up to close to $2,000 per year. And the total to attend FGCU per year on average is almost $16,000. So, as you can see, $16,000 a year is quite a bit, especially if you're, we're going to talk a little bit about federal aid right now. Especially if you're not getting any kind of help, $15,000, $16,000 a year if you don't have a job or you're only working a minimum wage job, really isn't that much. So at FGCU, about 81% of students receive some sort of aid, which, that's great. That's, 81% of the students get some kind of help. But there is that 19, close to 20% of students who don't get any help. And granted, of that 20%, there's probably a good amount that, come from a wealthier family, so they obviously don't need the financial aid. But there are some that, their parents might, be better off, but decide not to help their children or something like that with college, feel like that maybe they're just wasting their time. So it kind of puts that student in a kind of a tricky financial situation. 35% of students that go to FGCU get federal aid. 55% get state aid. Only 17% get aid from FGCU, the institution, and about 43% get loans. And the tricky thing about loans, granted they are good for the then and now, but most loans you're going to have to pay back. So it's kind of a lot of people don't like to take loans for that reason. They don't want to come out of college with thousands of dollars in debt. But sometimes it's what needs to be done in order to pay for your classes. Some people use it to buy food and stuff like that. So loans can definitely be a little tricky. All right, now we're going to talk a little bit about what FGCU has done to help solve this hunger crisis problem. FGCU has a food pantry on campus that's open to all students. Pretty much all students can just, if they need to use this, they can just go to the food pantry. They're given a list of certain items that they can take, and then they're given like a grocery bag, and they can walk through the aisles and take whatever foods that they want, and what are obviously there's a limit onto what they can take, but it helps. It's better than nothing, and it helps these students who can't afford food. They can go and at least have something to eat for the week or the month that they're struggling a little bit on money. FGCU also has a food forest, which is actually very unique. There's not too many universities that do anything similar to this. The food forest is a student-run botanical garden which highlights tropical and subtropical edible species that grow well in South Florida. So pretty much it's open to everybody. All students are just welcome to go in. If there's something edible, they could pick it and eat it right there, or they could pick it, collect it, take it home, eat it at home. Really, whatever they want to do. It's highly suggested, though, that if they are going to do this, they maybe show up to one of the Food Forest Club meetings, or get in contact with a member of the meeting and learn a little bit about it, so they're not going in there and eating things that aren't edible, or they actually know what is good to eat and what's not, just so to build a little bit of knowledge on it. So this is what, in my opinion, needs to be done to help solve this crisis. There's about 200 colleges and universities in the U.S. that have food pantries, which is great. Obviously FGCU is one of those 200, and that's awesome that these universities have put aside money to create something that can really benefit some of the students. But there's roughly 2,600 colleges and universities in the United States. So when you look at it in the bigger picture, only about 10% of colleges and universities have food pantries to help benefit these students. So there's still a full 90% of universities out there that these kids could be starving, and they have nowhere to go to get food. Just like I said, universities really need to be doing more to help students with food insecurity. It's obviously not something that affects all students, or even most students for that fact, but there is that maybe 3 to 5% of students at universities that do go hungry at night, and it's something that it needs to be addressed. And in order for there to be change, people need to be aware that this is actually a problem.
You both go out your way, and the vibe is feeling strong. And what's small turn to a friendship turn to a bond, and that bond will never be broken. The love will never get lost. And when brotherhood comes first, then the line will never